Hello everyone and welcome to In Your Pocket with thanks to GameFace and the crew at Valley Vicious. Darren Parkin is my name. We're covering all things footy from the outer east. I'll welcome our panel as we jump into it. A lot of massive results to reflect on and a big weekend of footy to look ahead to. Lee Lawrence, thanks for jumping back on with us.
Great to be here again, mate, talking with you legends.
And Liam, I understand you were at the proposed blockbuster, which didn't turn out to be quite that, between Alex and Kinglake.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate for the Rebels in the end, but fantastic nonetheless to get up there and see the work that they've done up there and in what was a very good win to Kinglake in the end. Yeah,
really significant result, and Quinn DeLuca completes our panel as well. Quinn, nice to have you on board.
Thanks again, boys. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. I'll hopefully produce the show all right after a few technical difficulties early, but we're on now, so it's good to be here.
Big thanks to Lilydale Jeep for helping us to put it all together as well. Woodards Manningham looking after Div 2, Growth Syndicates Australia for our Div 1 wrap, and Doncaster East and Templestowe Community Bank branch for our Premier Division. Div 2 is where we'll kick it off, and as we mentioned a little bit in that introduction, the blockbuster between Kinglake and Alexandria, which proved to be a statement more than anything from Kinglake, who re-established their position at the top of the table. Warburton thumping lowly Broadford away from home. Powtown too good for Yarra Glen with a 91-point result, and Yarra Junction downing Yea by a similar margin, about 95 points in the end for them too. The amazing parity between Kinglake and Alexandria on the table. Their points for, points against and percentage almost identical. We're talking less than a goal, the difference across the season, and their percentage within one of each other. But that's the result, I guess, Lee, that we'll start with Kinglake. I'm not sure they would have ever necessarily lost their billing as the team to beat, but they certainly confirmed it.
They definitely stood up on the weekend. I actually watched this game from the luxury of the line den up at home, and it was fancy. I seen you boys up there and it looked like it was pretty cold, but great result for Kinglake. In that first quarter, Alex had the footy in their forward 50 for the majority of that quarter, and then from the second quarter, Kinglake took the game on and really took control.
What did you make of it firsthand, Liam?
Yeah, well, to back over what you said, Lee, you were very lucky you weren't there. It was absolutely freezing up there. Don't get me wrong there. Look, I think you nailed it pretty much in that short synopsis there. They kicked 3 goals they kicked 3-2 to quarter time, and then they only kicked 5 behinds there on in. So it was a little bit disappointing, but Kinglake were just dominant around the stoppages and around the play in its entirety after quarter time, and they'd probably lament not winning by a little bit more, to be honest. They had 26 scoring shots at 10, as you can see there. So 51 points, although it's a good win, they probably could have won by 70, if not more.
Yeah, it's a huge result for them. They go to 8-1, obviously having been beaten in the last couple of weeks, but re-establishing that. And Quinn, what sort of took your fancy from the rest of that? Probably Powtown, who are in good form, but Yarra Glen, that was maybe a game we expected a bit more from them in.
Yeah, I thought Yarra Glen would have a little bit more from them, although I've been on Powtown's bandwagon for probably the last few weeks now, so no surprise that they've come out and made an absolute statement, because I still think they're one of the powerhouses going forward into the final series. So no surprises there from Powtown, although Yarra Glen, definitely thought they would have given a little bit more than this, but it's probably disappointing on their behalf, but they'll bounce back. I reckon they're a good side.
Lee, where do you put Powtown in it? So they're a game behind Kinglake. They're level with Alex. Their percentage is similar. They're all up in the 160s. They're starting to, and particularly out of that COVID break, they've sort of come out of that red hot.
As I've mentioned earlier, Powtown are a quality team. That COVID break has definitely helped them. And as I said at the start of the year, all Powtown need to do is make sure they're in that top 4 come the pointy end of the year, and they can win the flag easily. They're a very strong team. Yarra Glen were very disappointing on the weekend. They'll bounce back this week, but Yarra Glen have got some hard work to keep in this top 5. So Warby are right behind them.
We often judge teams by percentage as an indication as to their blend, obviously, between attack and defence. Yarra Junction are easily the highest scoring team in the competition. They've scored, say, 200 more points over the course of the year than Kinglake and Alexandria. Defensively, their numbers stack up okay, percentage around 191. Obviously, they've lost some of those key matches. Is it a case that they're just belting the sides they're expected to belt, and that's why that record is skewed a bit that way, or could they get on a roll?
It definitely does look that way. They've added Lee McComb back into the mix there. In the last 2 weeks, he's kicked 13 goals. He's a ripper of a bloke, but I'm not sure how long his body will hold out for. I'm not sure if he's just playing a few games here and there. But if they can get him in every week, there's going to add more goals there and share it around a little bit. But it does look to me they are just beating up on these weaker teams at the minute.
A reminder that we do have buy, hold and sell a little bit later on, and you can comment on whatever platform it is you're watching this on. Those of you would like to nominate, there might be a bit out of that Div 2. Ewan Wadsworth with 37 touches, 2 goals, 7 clearances, 11 inside 50s and 196 Premier data points is our Division 2 player of the round. So a super performance from him. Those numbers read very, very well. We look ahead to Div 2 this week, and there's a few matchups that on paper read fairly straightforward. Alex v. Yay. Let's start with you, Liam. Do you think Alex immediately bounce back? You'd think they correct that result?
Yeah, I think so. And just on a side note, it's their official opening of the new club rooms and social rooms they have up there this Saturday. So it'll be a magnificent little day out there. So if you're a local and you're watching, get out there and have a look, because they truly are fantastic. A lot of money has been spent there. They'll just win Alexandra for mine.
Lee?
Yeah, Alex will win in a big way. Last week was disappointing, but they'll bounce back.
Quinn?
Yeah, the same thing is what Liam said. They'll bounce back, and exactly what you said as well. If you can get down to the new club rooms, definitely do that, because supporting local clubs, especially after the year we've had last year, is huge. So, but yeah, Alex for mine will win this.
Yeah, they should win that pretty handsomely. Powertown and Yarra Junction, which is the one on paper that appears the most questionable, I guess. Yarra Junction, we asked that question earlier in regards to their ability to stack up against the top echelon. We'll find out a little bit more about them again this week. Powertown v Yarra Junction at Powertown, Liam.
I reckon Powertown will win this. I think they're just playing good footy at the moment. They'll keep storming at the moment, and they're just going to charge their way into September nicely. Although it'll be a good acid test of sorts for Yarra Junction to see how close they can take it up to them.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be a fantastic game. It's going to be real close. I'm going to go with Junction this week. I'm not sure why. Powertown are in great form and probably should get the win, but for some reason, something's telling me the Junk.
Quinn?
Yeah, and I'm staying on the Powertown bandwagon. I've been on them, like I said, so I'm not going to jump off just yet. I reckon they'll get the win here. 2
highest scoring teams in the competition, so that's something to look out for. If we get good conditions, you might get plenty of goals kicked in this. I think Powley just to sneak through. But, really keen to see when we reconvene next week how Yarra Junction held up in that game. Yarra Glen, disappointing outcome last week, but Liam, they would be pretty confident they'll correct some of that and maybe get some of the percentage back as well against Broady. Yeah, they'll just win with a massive percentage boost.
Yarra Glen will definitely bounce back. A couple of premiership reunions. It's going to be a massive crowd down there. Yarra Glen will thump them.
Win?
Yeah, as Liam likes to say, they'll just win. They'll just win.
They will just win. Kinglake, I wonder if they'll just win against Warburton. Probably. Warburton have shown some signs this year that would indicate that they can be competitive, and there's always that little blockbuster fatigue that you got to worry about. Kinglake coming off the match of the round, that sometimes sides don't come out of that all that well the following week, but I would imagine that they'd have a little bit too much for Warby.
This isn't going to be a situation of them just winning. I think they will win, but I think Warburton and Millgrove are going to give them absolutely everything and, try and take a little bit out of them, but I don't think it'll be as a blowout of sorts. I reckon it'll be quite close.
Yeah, definitely. I tend to agree with you there a little bit. The weather's going to be perfect this weekend, probably the best weather we've had in a long time. But the Kinglake ground is a mess, so the scoring's not going to be high. Kinglake will win, but it won't be by a heap.
Quinn?
Yeah, for me, Kinglake will win this one, and like Lee said, it is going to be a really nice day, so it's anyone's game, but for me, Kinglake.
Yeah, I'm thinking more of an arm wrestle, 9-5, 9-6, something along those lines in the Kinglake favour. Div 1 is where we turn our attention to now. Officer starting to build some real momentum. They thumped Berwick Springs, probably as expected last week. Healesville over Belgrave in a battle of those sides down near the bottom of the table, and that was certainly not as close as Belgrave would have hoped it would be. Seville over Mount Evelyn, a really important result for Seville there to keep them alive in terms of finals, and Mount Evelyn as a result of that a bit of a hiccup. But the key result, Emerald and Gembrook, you look at those teams in the middle of the table at 4 and 5 for Emerald to go to Gembrook and get a 4-goal result was really significant. Lee, your summation of those, that's the key result, but Seville's win was also pretty big.
Yeah, Seville's win was fantastic. That Emerald win was fantastic. Obviously, we spoke about it last week, and we spoke about how crucial it was for both them teams. For Emerald to get up at an away venue is fantastic. Yeah, a Seville win is fantastic. To beat the top of the table at the time, Mount Evelyn, at the potato chip out there, the Seville boys will be wrapped with that and take a bit of confidence to the latter end of the season, I believe.
Liam?
Yeah, but I think Lee's hit the nail on the head there. I'm a bit surprised at the Hillsville and Belgrave result. It just sort of says to me how far behind Belgrave are from the pack, really.
I told you that last week.
I honestly thought it would have been a little bit closer than that, but 34 scoring shots to 12, and I mean, imagine if it was 2014 or 24-10 to 5-7 or something, that could have been a hell of a lot worse than what that actually shows. We've already touched on Officer of Sorts. They're now sitting third. That is awfully dangerous, and they're just sitting behind Mount Evelyn, who have obviously played one more game than them, and obviously Monbulk, who have played only the 7 at the moment. So it's going to be, as a good friend or a good commentator used to say, Bruce, it's going to be a delicious end of the season, isn't it?
Well, Belgrave across their games this year, if you look at the top 6 compared to Belgrave's conceded, I think, 600 more points over the course of the season. So over a 9-game period, that's doing some quick maths, like a 70-point swing on average across all of those matches. And yeah, it's pretty messy reading, Quinn. But a couple of big results with Seville and Emerald in particular.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Lee mentioned, the Seville one at the potato chip's huge to knock over top side in Mount Evelyn, and then Gembrook going down to Emerald would be not disappointing for Gembrook at their home ground, but Emerald would be very happy with that one. Although, same as what Liam said, I'm pretty shocked by the Hillsville Belgrave result. I didn't think it would be as big of a blowout as it was, but I would have made him on the plays on the team out there, and he had a pretty handy day. I know he wanted me to mention the stats because he's a bit of a buff like that, but he got 19 touches, 3 goals, and 105 Premier Data points. So Maxi Donegan, we're pretty stoked with his performance out there at Hillsville.
Anyone else want shout-outs? We can certainly oblige over coming weeks. The top 6 final series discussion, we spoke a little bit about that. I wasn't one who was hugely in favour of that, but of all the competitions and all the divisions, this is one where perhaps it makes sense because you've got a breakaway of 6 and then 3 at the bottom that fall away. So you could certainly mount a case on the performances of Seville and Emerald that they'd be worthy finalists.
Yeah, definitely. You look at if it was that top 5, it'd be pretty hard done by Emerald or Seville to miss out, wouldn't it? So I do agree with it now.
Yeah, I do too, particularly in Division 1. I still think that there's a bit of a way to go from the Premier Division side of things to the top 6, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with how Division 1 looks. I mean, I've even put the line across there down to the bottom of the page there that would indicate that that's what the finals are going to look like. It's just going to be jostling of positions now for mine. I'm
still against it only in the sense that it's okay for good sides to miss the finals, and it does create that battle. We kind of know who the 6 is going to be in this sense, and I'm still one of the belief that if you've got 9 teams in the comp and 6 of them play finals, it can potentially just skew things a little bit. Deng Nay with 31 disposals, 47 hitouts, 4 inside 50, 17 contested possessions, and a whopping 229 Premier Data points is undoubtedly the Division 1 player of the round. We look at selections. Probably going to be hard, Liam, to sell Belgrave against Seville.
Another one of those situations. Seville just win.
Yep.
Seville by a lot, and we might see a bag from Cooney or one of the boys there, I would believe.
You've been good at predicting hauls, Quinn. Seville too good?
Yeah, Seville are going to be too good here. They just win, Liam.
I think they do as well. Gembrook will want to bounce back, Liam. Do they do that at Berwick Springs as expected?
They'll just win.
Yeah, 100% Gembrook win that one also.
Quinn?
Yeah, Gembrook win that one too.
Yes, they do. A massive game between Officer and Mount Evelyn. How are we splitting that one, Liam?
Yeah, on the road once again. Obviously, Mount Evelyn Officer are just rampaging at the moment. I reckon they'll get it done, but I think it might be a little bit close too.
Yeah, will be a ripping game. I'll actually be out at that game, and a few Officer boys have told me that they won't lose another game, so I'm with Officer.
Yeah, I'm probably leaning that way too, and you raised a good point in recent weeks, Liam, about Mount Evelyn and this run of away fixtures, and obviously that loss to Seville might just send a couple of little alarm bells that maybe that could be a problem for them, but yeah, I'm thinking Officer as well. Quinn, did I get your tip for that one?
We didn't get my tip. You've you looked past me for this one. No, that's all right. I'll forgive you this time. But the only reason I'm going to go Officer is because of the home ground advantage. I think it's really hard to split these two teams, especially with Mount Evelyn. We'll be looking to fire back after last week, but I'm going to give it to Officer as well. I just think their home ground advantage will be too strong. And
Monbolt coming off the bye, Liam, should do a bit of a number on Hillsville.
Oh, I'm going to say it for a third time this division. Monbolt just win.
Yeah, Monbolt easily.
Quinn?
Yeah, Monbolt.
Yep, that's a fairly straightforward one. We look at our Premier results and some thrillers there too. The Cranbourne-Warry-Alec match. Cranbourne have only been beaten the once this year, but they can now add a draw to that list as well. And Warry really like the way they go about it. They've kicked in accurately in that game, but had an outstanding third quarter where they took the lead and then just couldn't quite hang on and get all of the points out of that one, but had to split them. Narry beaten by 4 points by Beaconsfield, but they were 36 points down at three-quarter time and kicked 7 goals to 2 in the last quarter to very nearly pinch that. So then it's a question of, do you look at it and say it's a home loss, which is disappointing, or they scared the bejesus out of the top side and would therefore take a fair bit of confidence out of it that they could conceivably knock them off in a final. Another 4-point result with Upwey beating Olinda in a big result for Upwey, but a particularly big result on the other end of the spectrum for Olinda with the loss, and Wandon get up over Doveton to record victory number 1 on the season. 25-point result for them. Lee, what do you make of those 3 thrillers, and all of them pretty significant?
Well, out of the 4 complete games, what I really do take out of it is this gap that everyone said was there that's between all these clubs. It's not really there. Look, if we go through these scores, it's pretty even. From Warry to Cranbourne, what a fantastic result for Warry. Obviously, they didn't get over the line, but their last month of football's been fantastic. Disappointing for Olinda to drop that one. Probably should have won it, and congratulations to Wandon for getting their first win for the year. The gap's not that big.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was nearly going to say the exact same thing. I think going into the 2019 season, particularly after the 2 leagues had come into one, it was a big talking point. And now, to see that, obviously the draw on the weekend was unbelievable. That's a magnificent result for Warry-Alec, because they probably, although they've been playing good footy in the last month, thinking, we're going to Cranbourne, it could be a foregone conclusion sort of thing. But absolutely, credit to them for scrapping and fighting the way they did to get a draw. And walking away with 2 points isn't necessarily the worst thing.
Oh, I know what the haters will be saying with us sort of saying this right now. I was wet, it was miserable, the grounds were a mess. But we'll see this week, because it's going to be fantastic conditions this week. Let's have a look again this week.
And if it's wet and miserable and the grounds are a mess, both sides are still playing on it. So
exactly.
You end up with that. Quinn, what did you make of the spread of matches? And I guess on Narry, do you think they'd come out of that game thinking, geez, we've been beaten at home 3 times, or would they sit there and think, we've really pushed this top side, and if we get them again, if we can hit our straps?
Yeah, I don't think they'd be looking too much into the fact that they've lost a few times at home. Obviously, they'll think about it and they'll raise the question. But I think the second part, what you said, is probably more accurate in the sense that they go, you know what, we've come within 4 points of top side at the moment. We're a red hot chance. If we play them again, we're every chance to beat them. So I think that's the mentality they'll take out of this game, because it's such a close game. It's too hard to pick apart.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously they were well down at three-quarter time, so they had a period of the game where they completely dominated. So to get on that sort of a roll, particularly late in the game, had they pinched it, it would have been a huge result for them, I think, in terms of their premiership calculations. We'll look at their selections, Liam. So Narry away from home against lowly Doveton at the bottom of the table, so they shouldn't have to wait too long to get that victory.
Yeah, they'll bounce back here at Narry Warren. It's not going to be a situation where they just win. They will win, because I think Doveton can sort of take it up to them, in all honesty.
Magpies get up for sure in that one.
Quinn?
Yeah, Narry Warren, easy.
Yep, I think they'll win it fairly comfortably. Warry-Alec against Wandon. Obviously, Wandon riding high after getting that victory, but it's a really important game for Warry-Alec. If you've just had that type of result against one of the top sides in the competition, you can't let your guard down in this one. Liam, do you think they'll be right?
I think they should be okay. I don't know if that draw has taken it out of them a little bit. Will a little bit of fatigue hover around? We don't know, that sort of thing. It might. But I think they will win, although Wandon could give them a good hard scrap.
This will be a really good game. Wandon will be up for this. Wandon, great rivals, played many games against each other. Both very proud footy clubs. Warri will win, but it won't be by a heap.
Win?
Yeah, I think this will be a good game. This is a good test for Wandon. They're coming off a win. Can they continue that momentum and fly through? Because like Lee said, the gap's not that big between a lot of these clubs. So test for Wandon, but I think Warrior will take it.
Yeah, it's a danger game. Certainly one of those banana peel fixtures. But Warrior Alec, I think, will squeeze their way through a blockbuster at Beaky between Beaconsfield and Cranbourne. First v second, just the one loss between these two sides over the course of the season. And that was a thriller, obviously, earlier on in the year. Liam, can Cranbourne correct some of what went wrong last week and maybe cause the what would still be an upset?
They could potentially, but the same as Warrior Alec has that draw fatigued them a little bit. They're travelling out to Beaky, which is a massive ground, obviously, but I don't think it'll worry them too much. Although Beaconsfield, they're flying at the moment. They haven't dropped a game. They're 7-0. I'm going to say Beaconsfield in a close game, and it's also the live-streamed radio game and the streamed game on the league's Facebook page, and it's going to be a delicious contest.
Oh, he's pretty happy with it. The Battle of the Eagles. If any, we got the draw last week. I'd be tipping this game to be a draw, if anything. It'll be very close. I think Beaky will get up, but could go either way.
Quinn?
Yeah, I think Beaky's going to win this one. It'll be very tight, but I think Beaky would take it. And I think, Liam, that's the second time on this show you've used the word delicious. I think we're going to cap you with that. But, I think Beaky would take this one, and I'll be out there as well this week, I think. So it should be a good game.
I might create a swear jar or something for any time that gets mentioned. I'm going to go with Cranbourne, actually, based on earlier in the year. Just going to back that upset into... I think Beaky have had a couple of close results against those top sides. They are the best team in it, but... I reckon until you get rolled, it doesn't necessarily sort of correct itself. Like there's just a few little, very small signs that they're gettable, but generally it takes a loss to maybe change that up a little bit. So I think Cranbourne might just squeeze it. Upway versus Pakenham is another important game. Upway coming off a huge result last week. Liam, can they double down and beat another good team?
Well, look, they're just sitting outside the 6 at the moment. I mean, if they can get another win going, or at any stage, really, they could be knocking on the door of a potential finals berth. But although they are coming up against a good side, and Pakenham have had a week off, I'm going to tip Pakenham, but I don't think it'll be an easy win.
I think winning form's good form. Pakenham have had a rest. I reckon Upway are going to win and put a little bit of pressure on this top 6.
Yeah, I'm the same as Lee. This is nothing against Pakenham. I just think Upway are in some good form at the moment, and I reckon they'll roll them, yeah.
Just squeezing Pakenham in for mine, but can certainly understand that. There are our tips across the divisions. The Lilydale and Yarra Valley leader have revealed this week their top 30 Premier Division players. Now, do we agree with that? We'll go through them by surname. I guess, first of all, any standouts for you that, you got the likes of Matt Scharenberg from Olinda in there. We'd obviously know his background. Jake Richardson, who had a good day with Narry kicking 4 on the weekend in their comeback. But we'll have this full list actually available up online very, very soon. But what stands out for you, Lee, as the guys that were either stiff or guys that you're really, really glad to see in there?
With the list, I'm pretty happy with it overall. It's great to see Nick Keegan up there from Olinda and that. Joshy Neal, who's come across to Woori this year, fantastic to see him up there. But yeah, pretty good list there. There's not too much can complain about there.
What do you think, Liam?
I don't think you'll find any arguments from me. It would be very interesting, though, to see if it was a ranked list, what the actual ranks would be. But maybe that's something we might have to come up with next week. I've got no idea.
Yeah, we might be able to do that ourselves. Quinn, surprised they didn't put them in order. Just stick the neck on the line and create some of that debate.
Yeah, I would have loved for them to do that. Just, cause a bit of debate, controversy, gets everyone talking a little bit. And then it gives us more something, I guess, to judge by as well. But I'm pretty happy with the list. The thing that stood out for me the most was that there's a relatively even mix between players from the top of the ladder clubs and the players at the bottom of the ladder clubs, so which just goes to prove what Lee said, that there's not that big of a gap because each club has a few stars in their side. So I was really happy to see the even spread of players across all teams.
Our player of the round, by the way, is Thomas Hines from Wandon, 36 possessions, but 29 of them kicks, 8 rebounds from defensive 50, 83% disposal efficiency, and 184 Premier data points in their first win of the season. So that's a look at some of our selections from the week and also a reflection upon it. Buy, hold and sell, something we like to do every week. Might start with you, Quinn. You bought Cranbourne, held Powelltown and sold Wandon last week. Where do we find you this week?
Yeah, well, this week's a tough one. I don't think I can sell anybody this week. It's too hard. My teams are pretty handy at the moment. But I will be buying this week Yarra Glen, which could surprise some people. I think their stocks are probably a little bit low at the moment after a loss, but I still reckon they'll have an all right end of the year. So I'm going to buy them, which, like I said, may surprise a few. I think I'm going to hold on to Powelltown still because they're flying, like I've said, and I'm not jumping off their bandwagon anytime soon. And I can't really sell anybody at the moment, so if I can get away with it, I'm not going to sell anybody, which might be the easy option out. But
That's okay. You certainly don't have to. Liam, what's your buy, hold and sell? You were last week. You bought Beaky, held officer, and didn't sell either.
I don't think I can buy or even sell anyone. I mean, look at the two teams I've got. They're flying. So, yeah, I generally don't know. If I was able to buy into someone, I'd buy King Lake.
Yep, you can.
Yeah.
You certainly can.
Saw that look.
And yet, do you have a hold and a sell?
I got a hold. I can't. Do I have to get rid of one of them?
No, you don't have to. You can sell anyone else if you want.
I can't.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Just come in
Who would you-
underprepared, haven't you?
Yeah. I don't know.
If you were going to sell someone, even if you don't have shares in them.
Oh, jeez. Maybe a Linda Fernie Creek after that loss.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That hurts. That hurts. Lee?
Yeah, I'm going to buy Worry. Their last month of footy's been fantastic. They're up and about. They're having a crack. I'm holding Alex. The loss last week, against the top team. They're still up and about, and I'm getting rid of Doveton. They've just done nothing for me this year. Pretty miserable year all round for the Doves.
I bought Warri Alec last week. I'm going to buy a little bit more in them. That was a handy result, so I'm going to double down on that. I will hold Nari for mine. I think there was enough out of that performance to suggest that they'll be okay, but it's important that they do respond. And I was holding Yarra Glen last week, but I'm just going to sell them off the back of that. I think that's too far adrift. I know they've got some results that can still go their way from here, but that was a pretty disappointing. I guess if you're holding someone on a watch and then they get beaten by 15 goals, it's probably difficult to convince yourself to stay on board. A big thank you to Growth Syndicates Australia, to Woodards Manningham, to Lilydale Jeep, and of course Doncaster East and Templestowe Community Bank Branch. This has been In Your Pocket with thanks to GameFace and of course the crew at Valley Vicious. We'll catch you again next week.